And so we continue, and we're talking about a huge story today. Morocco are through to the semi-finals of the World Cup. They are the first African nation to achieve this. Craig Burley is joining us now to look back on everything that we saw in this game. So first of all, let's get your thoughts, Craig, on the story of Morocco and this World Cup and what we saw from them in this game today.
Well, what we saw, Kay, was more incredible fortitude in defending and everything that's really been part of the process for Morocco thus far. And I think the thing was, and we discussed at length across the platform in the last 2 or 3 days, it's how much was left in that Moroccan tank after the exploits of the Spain game in the 120 minutes, the penalties, the euphoria, the injuries, all those things. And, you know, personally, and I know I wasn't alone, I didn't think they could muster up that kind of performance again, but they did. And they did. And it was maybe a little bit more attacking than the Spain game, but it was certainly as defensively strong. And I think I'm racking my brains to think about World Cups where a team has shown such magnificent defensive qualities and desire, and to be in the semi-final of a World Cup, you know, not only as the first team from the African continent to do so, but to do so with all those problems that they had, to do so as the underdogs, and I think to do so without thus far having lost a goal to anybody from an opponent. One goal, and that was an own goal. It really is staggering, and I can only imagine the feeling within that Moroccan camp at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think Craig said it perfectly, to be honest. Okay, I think Morocco right now have shown why we love this sport. I think it's not about an individual. Surely we can pick out players, including Yassine Bounou, of course, and Ziyech, you know, Esneri, but to me, Morocco represents the collective unity of this 11 that has just been so resilient throughout the whole thing. They are so well managed when they don't have the ball. And yes, it can be a little bit boring, I guess, for some, but to me, I find it resilient and the ultimate signification of what a team represents. And once again, Portugal, you know, just like Spain and just like any other victim, like Craig said, nobody scored against them. It's just been one on goal, I think, against Canada. They haven't been able to crack them down because they are so strong together. A tremendous performance. And it's sad to me, Kay, right now that I have to bring on a Portuguese fan to see what they feel. But Gabby Amado is once again in the house. Gabby, your reactions from this match and how the Portuguese side has seen this one.
Yeah, I think Portuguese fans everywhere are much more familiar with the feelings that we all felt in those last 20 minutes. That's usually how Portugal in massive tournaments goes, very unlike that 6-1 win against Switzerland, but obviously a sad day for Portuguese fans. The World Cup dream does come to an end, but we just saw those images of Cristiano Ronaldo heading directly into the tunnel and just sobbing. And I think that really is an image that's going to hit Portuguese fans very, very hard. This era has come to an end. We knew heading into this tournament that this would be Cristiano Ronaldo's last World Cup. And I think I speak for all Portuguese fans. I hope I do. When you say 2 words, thank you. Thank you for bringing Portugal to the level that this Portuguese Federation currently is at. Thank you for giving Portuguese fans the ability to dream in the way that we now do. Thank you for smashing goal records and appearance records, as you just did today, equaling the all-time international appearance record. And I think it's quite beautiful, honestly, that he did it today coming off the bench. I think that really does tell the story entirely of how his evolution has kind of unfolded and where we currently stand. We can discuss, Fernando Santos's decisions once again today, and I don't think he's to blame at all. He decides to go with the same starting 11, just one change, which, to be honest, I didn't agree with. I think most Portuguese fans didn't agree with it, bringing in Ruben Neves for William Carvalho. I thought William was stellar in midfield. He is a rock in midfield. I think he could have done very well against this Moroccan midfield that, as we've seen throughout the whole tournament, just runs in circles around their opponents. But I think he corrected the wrong in starting Ruben Neves with his substitutions. He brings on Cristiano Ronaldo in the 50th minute, not in the 70th. Gives Ronaldo a solid opportunity to make that impact. Leaves Gonçalo Ramos on the field to allow both of them to play. Brings on João Cancelo. I mean, and I'm smiling because the future of the Portuguese national team is so bright. You saw the players that came on, Vitinha, who also is a superb player, Rafael Leão off the bench. This era, this chapter does come to an end. I expect it to be Fernando Santos' last tournament as well. But the Portuguese national team, looking forward in the Euros in 24 and then in the World Cup in 26, this team is going to be in their prime, and I'm buzzing to see it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Gabby, to see you guys go out, but thanks so much for being with us again. It's always great to have you on. Craig, I'm interested to know your thoughts on the Portugal side of things today and what went wrong for them. We're just hearing there about the changes, and also we've had a fan question on whether you would have started Ronaldo. Now, obviously, after Gonçalo Ramos scoring that hat-trick in the last game, many would have expected him to start again, but would you have started Ronaldo in this clash, Craig, to answer this fan's question?
No, and I don't think anybody expected Cristiano Ronaldo to start. I don't think that was the problem, and I agree with Gabby. I was a bit surprised that he made the change again in the middle of the park with William Carvalho, his strength and his power and his defensive abilities as well. So that was a little bit of a surprise. I think ultimately, we had another false dawn. I mean, Portugal were so good in that last match out against Switzerland, who normally are such a hard team to break down and play against. But Portugal played with so much pace and energy and quality of passing and pace of passing. I think the quickness, and we saw that sort of dissipate today. João Felix wasn't able to get involved as much, and Gonçalo Ramos wasn't able to find those runs, and Bernardo Silva, the list goes on. That interchanging wasn't quite there, and I think it's such a disappointment from a Portuguese point of view, because we had Spain and I think it was 7, if memory serves me right, that thriller in the opening match day 1 against Costa Rica, and then that faltered. We had Brazil against South Korea, the sort of Harlem Globetrotter performance, and then that faltered. And then we had Portugal, who scored 6, and it was like, wow, this could be going all the way. Morocco are tired, and Portugal just have to do this again, and they faltered. There was so many false dawns with such talented sides, and Portugal are just another one of those. I do agree they have a lot of supremely talented players, and I think Fernando Santos has had his run. But I think ultimately, when they look back on this, Portugal, as defiant as Morocco were, this was the kind of Portuguese performance under Santos that we've come to expect. It was a little slow, it was a little laboured, and maybe the Switzerland game was the anomaly. That was the exception to the rule, and they sort of reverted back to type today, and it was a bit disappointing after a few days ago.
To go against conventional wisdom based on this shows and the attacks on me, making it sound that I'm like Cristiano Ronaldo's #1 enemy, I'm probably the only one here right now that actually, strategically speaking, I would have started Ronaldo in this game because of Morocco's resiliencies. Now, obviously, to Craig's and Gabby's point about, how you can't not start Gonçalo Ramos, right? You have to find a way. I just think that Morocco are such a type of opponent that when you don't have the aerial battle won from the first minute, when you can only rely on triangular passing entering the final third and going wide, and then trying to expect the likes of Fernandes and Bernardo Silva and Vitinha later on, whatever, trying to penetrate through the ground. You need a target man. Now, there's an argument to be made. Maybe at halftime, Ronaldo could have come in, and maybe there's an argument to be made that when he came on was perfect because he did have a glorious chance against Yacine Bounou late in that game. I just think that strategically speaking, I would have probably started Ronaldo, but I don't think it would have mattered. This was a Moroccan wall that just wasn't allowing anything. I mean, I can't get over how amazing they were off the ball. It's remarkable.
Definitely. And before I move on to ask Craig, actually, what next then for Morocco? Because we obviously know it's going to be England or France. Gabby, what's the reaction going to be tomorrow in Portugal and in the Portuguese press? How are they going to take this?
They are going to take this, like I said before, as the end of an era. They're going to take it as a goodbye to Cristiano Ronaldo on the international stage. And then they're going to start to look ahead at what this Portuguese national team is going to look like under a new manager. The time, unfortunately, is up for Fernando Santos, who, like Craig said, this did kind of feel like a vintage FS match because we've seen Fernando Santos in so many competitions and throughout his tenure be very pragmatic, very defensive, very conservative. And although that Switzerland match was the exact opposite, I do agree in that it was an anomaly, but it shouldn't be moving forward. The next manager that steps up to take over the Portuguese national team needs to make do with this group of players that are not only young, but have so much attacking flair. We want to continue to see the best of João Felix. We want to continue to see Rafael Leão shine. We want to see Gonçalo Ramos continue to get inside of the penalty box and hit the back of the net. And so that's going to be what Portuguese fans are looking to. Who's the man to take over to lead this new group into the future? And I know you're going to ask me who it is, and I don't have the answer. I would love it. Oh, this special one. I'm not sure it's going to happen yet, but I do think eventually we will see Jose Mourinho step up to the plate.
All right, Craig. So going forward then, this Moroccan side, we know it's going to be England or France. How do you think they're going to stack up against either one of those two?
Well, I mean, in exactly the same manner would be the answer. To limit Spain and Portugal with such talented players to the chances that they had. I mean, yeah, I mean, Kylian Mbappe, I mean, we don't know who it's going to be as we're speaking. I mean, I think the majority would say France. I kind of have my doubts. It's a bit of a 50-50 call, but both sides have got players with pace who like to run in behind, particularly Mbappe. Well, they haven't really left much space behind Morocco. You know, maybe Portugal were hoping for those slick little 1-2s and those passes down the sides of the centre halves that worked so well against Akanji and Schär in the Switzerland game and just didn't come off. So why change what's worked for you? Morocco will do no different, and they're a threat in the counter-attack. We know the goalkeeper, the Portuguese keeper, made a howler with the Nejri goal. But these things happen. So yeah, I mean, semi-final of a World Cup, dreamland. Could be one of the so-called elite nations in the semi-finals. Well, it will be, particularly if it's France. And if you're in that Moroccan hotel, you're fancying keep another clean sheet. Why wouldn't you? Nobody can bloody well score against you. I mean, it's just, it is just incredible. Semi-final of the World Cup, and not one player has put the ball in the back of their net from the opposing teams. That's phenomenal.
Craig, I'm with you. It's going to be copy-paste what they've done against Spain, what they've done against Belgium, what they just did against Portugal. Not only have they only conceded one goal in this World Cup run, but that actually dates back. It's one goal conceded. That was an own goal in their last 9 matches. For me, it's going to be really interesting to see who's going to get past Bounou, that Sevilla keeper that they call him Bono in Spain. I absolutely loved him. Okay, we followed him for so long. To see if Harry Kane or Kylian Mbappe can get the ball past him, because he put on a stellar performance, not only today, but throughout this World Cup run as well. And so I think he's been so key to this Moroccan national team's success. It's going to be juicy.
Yeah,
one thing about Yacine Bounou, by the way, he's a River Plate fan. Like, he's a massive Argentinian fan. So can you imagine him against Argentina? Like, and when he speaks in Spanish, he has a very thick Argentinian accent, which makes him even more exciting. So I'm waiting for that one. Just very quickly, I think that Morocco would rather play England than France, because at least France can be a little bit more reactive. England will find the same issues that Spain did, that Belgium did, and that Portugal did, I think. So it's going to be intriguing to see who they get.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.